On today's episode, the Ravens prey on the Pats, Kaepernick and the 49ers knock off the Falcons.
And the Harbaughs are meeting each other in the Super Bowl. All that and more, you're watching The Pitch.
We're singing, hey, you can't count us out. We've been running up against the crowd. Yeah, we're the dark horses.
Welcome to The Pitch. I am Mitch Sabatelli, and next to me is Mike Pesperoni.
What's up?
Fox is out as host this week, but we're going to keep it going. Peps, what's your thoughts on the Ravens taking down the Patriots 28-13?
This was the matchup that, as a Patriots fan, you were worried from the beginning. I would have rather seen the Broncos. The tough thing about that is you would have been on the road at Mile High Stadium, but I mean, we had Peyton's number, and it seems like the Ravens have just had our number, and Flacco breaking the record for a quarterback with most road wins in the playoffs, breaking Eli Manning's record. I mean, I got to give all the credit in the world to the Ravens. They won it more than the Patriots. The Patriots just looked like the Patriots of the last 5 to 8 years. They just didn't seem like the same team. They didn't want it. They used to be so defensively sound, and they just weren't defensively sound at all. They hung in there for 2.5 quarters, but the lack of offensive attack and willingness to go the distance for Tom Brady, which you've seen in the past, not being able to do it in this game really cost them a huge chance at a victory to get to a sixth Super Bowl for Brady. But I mean, like so many things went wrong. Welker dropping the pass on 3rd and 7 when they're up by 6, have a chance to get there and get at least a 2-possession lead on the Ravens. I mean, it's a very tough game. I give all the credit in the world to the Ravens, especially to Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco was the key to winning this game because 3 touchdowns, no picks, thrown for over 230 yards. I mean, he had a pretty solid game. They call that average, but I mean, he did what he needed to do and allowed the Ravens' classic tough, rugged, tough defense to step in and take down the Patriots. But it was a matter of turnovers, and Patriots had 3 and Ravens had none.
I like all that Peps just said. I think that was a matter of coaching. I think actually John Harbaugh just out-coached Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
I think he willed his team to win. Joe Flacco was way more efficient than Tom Brady. He had a much better rating, 106 rating. The Ravens, they were just too tenacious. The defense, you could see, they were coming right after Brady, and Brady wasn't even really rushed that much. But
He didn't get sacked.
He didn't get sacked at all. But it was the offensive line that held up Brady, but their coverage was absolutely phenomenal. And I thought with the loss of Ladarius Webb, I thought they were going to be in trouble. But Kerry Williams, Ed Reed had a great game. He was all over the field, getting everybody in the right position. Oh, yeah. Ray Lewis, inspirational. He got his team ready. And
Kruger stepped up.
Kruger did step up.
Pressure on them.
Ray Lewis, as much as stats goes, he wasn't, the Ray Lewis of the past. But he got his team there, and he made that great. He saw the Rays retirement thing, and he made a reference there after the game.
Yep.
They interviewed him. He said, "Listen, I think this wasn't going to be my retirement day. I wanted to show everybody that I still got a lot left in the tank here."
Oh, yeah.
And he went out with class, I think, and I thought he had a great game as well. But really, I think the thing was the Pats stopped Ray Rice. Joe Flacco just had a great game. He found Anquan Boldin as soon as Aqib Talib got hurt. Anquan Boldin became open as ever.
The height difference.
Right, and Kyle Arrington was getting torched over there by Torrey Smith. Anquan Boldin couldn't be stopped anymore.
Yeah.
The Patriots really looked lost after the loss to Talib, and also the loss of Gronkowski really hurt.
It just seemed like the desire and the tenacity that you wish you'd see from the Patriots offense wasn't there.
No.
It seemed like they were beating around the bush or doing all these screens. I mean, they were working to a point, but the problem is you're not willing to throw the ball downfield and playing like the conservative Pats. You can't play conservative like you did in 01, 03, and 04 because you don't have the defense to back you up.
Right.
But the problem is that defense hung in there pretty tough until 2.5 quarters happened.
They stopped Ray Rice completely.
Yeah, they did. And then the Patriots with the Welker drop and all that, and right after that, everything went downhill. The problem is it was a big momentum swing. It didn't seem like the Patriots wanted it like the Ravens wanted it. They wanted to come into Foxborough, same time as last year, and get that redemption win, and they did to get to the Super Bowl. And I give them all the credit in the world. It's unfortunate, but the Pats are going to have to do some serious defensive work in the offseason.
I think the first 4 drives, it seemed like a lot of 3rd and 2s. It looked like Brady.
Yeah.
He had the running backs. They were opening up 4 wide, 5 wide. They came out there pretty much firing, but really Brady, the coverage was too good, and they were getting to 3rd and 2, and really in Brady's prime, he was going to convert that. But I think what Pep said, we were trying to go deep, and we don't have the deep threats. They threw deep to Welker in the first drive. Yeah. They were trying to hit Lloyd, and Lloyd had a good game outside the numbers, like going from sideline to sideline. He's not a big stretch wide receiver. The Patriots really lack that big physical. They lack the physical receiver like the Ravens have in Bolden, and they lack the deep threat that the Ravens have in Torrey Smith. So I think a lot of these things were big factors for the Patriots not being able to get by the Ravens. But I think the thing is, Brady, he might be just a little bit past his prime here.
Yeah.
When he needs the big play, I just don't think he has it in him. So this is big news for Patriots
I feel
fans.
like it's a lot,
I think it's a sad. It was a sad day for Tom Brady.
I mean,
but I think it was just too much third down.
Yeah,
It
too
just
much.
not
Not
enough. There was too much miscues.
Too bad is too poor execution in the offense. It's because Ridley goes out in the first, and then the running game seems pretty much non-existent.
Right.
So Brady's going to go out firing, and they weren't even doing that. They weren't even firing that much until they realized, hey, we're down 21-13, 28-13, and that's when the interceptions came because the Ravens knew it was coming. The problem is there wasn't much versatility on the offensive playbook, it seemed, that game for the Patriots, and it seemed to cost them in the end because the defense can only hold up for so long out there on these long drives that the Ravens were producing.
And you look at the Patriots' weapons. I mean, sure, they have Brandon Lloyd. Brandon Lloyd, he is what he is. When you signed him, you thought he was going to be a little bit more of a deep threat. As at least I did. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I thought he
was going to be able to stretch the field vertically a little bit more. But he was efficient, and he was actually efficient in the first half. But as soon as Gronkowski got hurt, they were too reliant on Aaron Hernandez like they have been in the regular season. So Ed Reed can cover up Aaron Hernandez. They can bring up Darnell Ellerby.
Too tough of a
Too
defense.
much coverage. And that was the problem. Too Wes Welker centric there in the second half. They just couldn't get it
Pretty
done.
much just congrats Ravens. And on the other side of the football league, the 49ers knock off the Falcons 28-24. This was a heck of a game. What are your thoughts on this?
And this is the second game in a row where Matt Ryan and the Falcons take a big lead, and then the defense just let it go.
Yeah.
I think Kaepernick had a huge second half, 120 passer rating.
Yeah.
He has shown everyone that he is one of the best rookie quarterbacks in this class
Doesn't
right
even
now.
play like a rookie.
He can do it with his feet. He can do it in the air. I think it was 16 for 21. Crazy efficient for a rookie.
He's got that baseball arm.
Yeah,
that baseball arm's working for him.
Yeah, he got that maturity level going right now, and really that defense stepping up. Patrick Willis really showing that he is one of the best linebackers in the game. Talk about that defensive line. Justin Smith just absolutely stuffing the run. Michael Turner couldn't go anywhere. And Matt Ryan had a huge day to Julio Jones in the first half. I think he had 100 yards, 2 touchdowns in the first quarter, but as soon as Jim Harbaugh, who I think might be one of the best coaches in the game, found an answer for Julio Jones, they just stoned him from the second half, and Kaepernick just showed that he's actually a real good quarterback.
I have to give all the credit in the world to Colin Kaepernick. You're a rookie on the road as the 2 seed, and you're favored in this game, but when you're down 17-0, you feel all the pressure in the world on your shoulders. It's like, oh, did we make the mistake by not putting in Alex Smith? But it's 17-0
on
the road, and you come back guns blazing. You say, you know what? We're going to step up right now offensively, and then the defense is going to make up for it. And that's exactly what happened. Matt Ryan fumbled in the clutch time when they needed him to. And 49ers just pulling out all the key stops. Vernon Davis wide open half the time. Such a big game for him, and he's matured so much as an athlete and a tight end in this National Football League for this 49ers team. Come a long way from that NFC Championship blow-up where he was calling everybody out, getting all angry. He's matured now, and I honestly
that was
think
a big
this
question
is
mark
their
too,
time.
because the second half of the season he was non-existent as well.
The thing is, it's just the 49ers have such a stifling defense that the Falcons' defense can't match up to when they're coming at a guy like Kaepernick. The problem is they were outmanned and they were way too overwhelmed by the pressure at the end of the game. They had the pressure on them, and this isn't a Seattle team. This is the San Fran 49ers. Seattle's a great team, and they almost came back last game, but this is the 49ers. They're a 2 seed for a reason, and they're in the Super Bowl for the reason that they clearly went out and they said, hey, we don't care if we're on the road. We don't care if we have a rookie quarterback. This is our time for Redemption Bowl in New Orleans, and we're going to pull it off right now, and they did. That's exactly what happened.
Talk about coaching again. I think Jim Harbaugh, he rallied the troops at the halftime, and really after the second half, in the second half, Jim Harbaugh absolutely destroyed Mike Smith coaching-wise.
Oh, yeah.
I think special teams absolutely stood up in the second half with the 49ers, and really the defense.
That prevent defense of the Falcons
against this defense in the second half.
They did it against Seattle last week, where they let them hang and let them get those 10, 15-yard passes, but those add up, even if you are trying to play prevent defense up 3 possessions. The problem is when you're doing that style of defense, you're allowing them to get all these yards, and then you're so deep in your own territory that they're coming at you, and you're in the red zone, and it's like, oh, it's too late. We got to play man-to-man, then you get burned by either Kaepernick, whoever. You can't do that with the 49ers. They'll burn you at least 9 times out of 10. And it was just a hell of a game and a great comeback for the 49ers. It was worth watching. I wish I actually got to watch it. I got to watch the poor excuse of an AFC Championship game instead.
It was a great game for Tony Gonzalez's final game. And I think a big X factor here was I think if Matt Ryan was able to go vertical, go deep to Julio Jones, to Roddy White, that's just the only chance they were going to have to win. And you saw that in the first half that they were absolutely beating the 49ers secondary. Yeah. But the thing is, the 49ers' weakness on secondary with Dante Whitner and Deshaun Goldson and Carlos Rogers is not a weakness with any other team. So they have the personnel to do it. And that's what Jim Harbaugh saw this, and he made some adjustments, and they absolutely stoned Matt Ryan in the second half. He could go nowhere. And that was the big difference maker. And Colin Kaepernick just
huge difference maker.
So moving on, Peps, here we go. It's a battle of the Harbaughs here. It's Ravens, it's 49ers in the Super Bowl. What is the big opening thoughts here in this game?
My big opening thoughts are these teams are so similar, except I feel like the Ravens are they have the elder defense, and I believe that could be costly with the young Colin Kaepernick being able to run all over the place. He's so fast. He's got a cannon of an arm, and that's going to be the key to it. Can Kaepernick not pull the rookie move in the Super Bowl and stay turnover free? That's going to be the big thing. And can Frank Gore run through the Ravens defense so they can keep opening up those windows of opportunities of play action, Kaepernick running and leaving these guys and get these guys open. And I think the biggest thing will be quarterback. The quarterback to make the big mistake is going to be the end of someone's season. And I believe that it's going to be the Ravens who are going to lose this game. It's great for Ray Lewis, but I don't think this is his time to win. I think it's his time to go. I mean, he's already won a ring. And, I mean, that defense is arguably the best defense on any team ever in the 2000 Ravens. Arguably the best. But the thing is, I don't think it's their time. I think this is Kaepernick's time, kind of like a Brady move in a way. I think this is his time to step in and take over. He's so versatile. He's got a cannon of an arm. He's so accurate, so fast, so athletic. I think this is his Super Bowl to win, and that's exactly what I think the 49ers are going to do. This is a redemption bowl. This is the hard bowl. But in the end, I believe younger brother Jim is going to step up and take this one to Lombardi Town. That's what's going to happen.
And I think it's really fitting that these two teams are playing each other. And you can actually tell that these two brothers are brothers because of their coaching style. Just look at their team. They're very run on offense and elite defense in the other field.
Oh, yeah.
And they are the two most physical teams in the whole entire NFL meeting together. And this once again proves that defense really does win championships. Yeah. And this is back to the old school game of just running the football, ground and pound, and just being able to stop them on defense, just
come down
in the trenches and everything. I think the thing is, with this game, like Pep said, these two quarterbacks, Joe Flacco and Colin Kaepernick, while Joe Flacco is mature and while he is experienced, there is some things where, in the big game, he sometimes makes the bad mistakes. And while he hasn't done that in the playoffs yet, I think it is true that whoever makes it, the key to the game is definitely the quarterback position. Who is better? That's who
can hold up under the pressure of being under the Super Bowl.
Now, the thing with Colin Kaepernick is, this is a neutral field right now, so everyone's going to say, how he's going to do under the, in the Super Bowl atmosphere. He went to Atlanta and won, so I think now that's off his back, now that everyone knows that he can play, in a neutral field now, and not just at home, not just in Candlestick. I think this is going to be huge for the 49ers. I think also the run game is huge. Like I said, this game is built with the run. Both the Harbaughs love to run the football, so I think it's going to be a big matchup of old again with Frank Gore and Ray Rice. So I think it's going to be huge right now.
The offense is going to be huge. Who can push through the other's defense is going to be the biggest thing.
Say Kaepernick starts to fail in the first half, they need to really rely on Frank Gore. Same thing with Joe Flacco. They're going to really have to pressure Ray Rice, and this is going to be a little bit different Ravens-wise. They don't really need Ray Rice against the Patriots defense, who really are weak against the pass.
Yeah.
But the 49ers, they can stop anything right here, and you saw that in the second half of the Falcons game. So they're going to really have to rely on Ray Rice. Use him in a lot of different packages. Throw the ball outside, keep him inside, rush it between the tackles.
Plays,
a lot of screens right here.
Offense going. I mean, it's going to be a great game either way. It's
and also I think what Pep said about how the Ravens are the old. They're both the same defense really, but just the Ravens are a little bit older.
San Fran has a younger, twice better defense in a way, and I think the 49ers also have a younger and twice better offensive scheme. I think it's just the younger versus the older. I think the younger has more talent, and I believe that's why they're going to win the game outright. And I believe that veterans and defense win championships, but I believe that this is Kaepernick's time, and just like Montana and Young, he could be a great quarterback for this organization for the future.
And we mentioned another thing earlier, how it's whoever's hungrier is going to win this game, and I think this is going to be a big battle right now. It's these young kids, all these 22-year-olds on this defense, Eldon Smith, Patrick Willis, Navarro Bowman, they're just coming up there.
I think they'll be ready.
Just out of college. Are they going to be a lot hungrier? Is the youth going to outwit the experienced team right here?
I think Vernon Davis is going to be a huge key in this game. I think he's going to have to lead them. He's very mature as a player now. He's realized that now's his time and he wants it, and I think he's going to get it, and I think he's going to help lead this team.
Well, let's talk about it. Who is if you had to pick one key factor for both teams, what it's going to be?
I believe it's going to be pretty much the quarterback.
I
think it's going to be the quarterbacks. Like I said, the first one to make the mistake, and it's going to be, can the 49ers stop Ray Rice? Because that's when Flacco can throw his 20-yard plus plays, which is what they were the best in the league at during the regular season. And that's going to be a big thing. Whichever team can stop the run game could arguably just win the game outright, because that's going to make it so tough. Especially if it's the 49ers shutting down the Ravens' run game, I think they're going to be in big trouble, because it's going to be hard to get those guys open with that young secondary, young defense behind the 49ers. And they have the agility, quickness, and they have the endurance to be able to go the distance. And I believe that if Ray Rice gets shut down, that it's going to be that much tougher and it'll be that much easier for the 49ers to come out with a win. And I believe that they will do so. I don't think Rice will be running any 100-yard games. I think it's going to be a battle of the defenses, but I still believe the 49ers defenses, the youth is going to come and show it, and they're going to win the game.
Yeah, it's real different, because usually when you see a matchup, especially a Super Bowl matchup, it's usually a real good defensive team as well as a real good offensive team. These teams are very, very similar, and their coaches are brothers. So they have a lot of the same kind of strategies, a lot of the same kind of styles. These are my two X factors right now. Like we already said, it's definitely the quarterback play. I'm going to go with the O-line for the Ravens. If they can keep Joe Flacco afloat, let him get a little bit of time in the pocket, maybe use Ray Rice in the screens. If Joe Flacco has enough time to find Torrey Smith, find Anquan Bolden deep downfield, because I said there's one weakness for the 49ers, and it's the cornerbacks. Carlos Rogers is good. But Terrell Brown, he has some weaknesses, and Julio Jones exploited that last game. So if Torrey Smith's going to be able to beat, if he's going to be able to beat him, I think that's a big X factor for the Ravens. On the other side, I think it's the ability to pass rush Joe Flacco. Colin Kaepernick. For the Ravens to be able to get Colin Kaepernick, make him start to use his scrambling ability. If you can see Paul Kruger on the edge, really test Colin Kaepernick's immaturity level. Make sure that he's running sideline to sideline. I want to see him scramble a little bit.
Think the Ravens, in order to win this game, I think they're going to have to come out and give Jim Harbaugh a taste of his own medicine and throw some surprises at the 49ers defense. I believe that if they do that, then they could set themselves a good tone. They could pull this off. I'm not counting the Ravens out. I just believe that the 49ers are just going to win this game. I just can't pick against them. I mean, the Ravens, such a good team, solid throughout. 49ers are the same. I just believe they're a notch above the Ravens, and that's why they were in the 2 seed. That's why the Ravens come out of the 4 seed, and that's what the talent proves it. And I think that Kaepernick coming out, he's fired up for the Super Bowl. They're going to win this game. I think they're going to win, and they're going to bring the Lombardi Trophy back to California. So.
I also think that Kaepernick showed us enough in these first couple of games that he is ready to go.
Battle-tested, too.
He is battle-tested. I'm going to go with the Niners defense here. I think they're just better.
Think about it. He beat Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, even though he wasn't home. He still beat Aaron Rodgers and the veteran Packers team. He goes in and beats the Falcons, and he's on the road. So, I mean, that's as well as battle-tested as you get. And
Matt
now you're
Ryan
on the
and
neutral
Aaron
field.
Rodgers, two of the best quarterbacks in the NFC right now.
Exactly.
But let's really break this down. Let's talk about all the matchups here. Let's talk about first Peps. Who has the edge at quarterback?
I believe that it's a toss-up because Flacco has the veteran experience, but again, I think it's going to be the youth of Colin Kaepernick. I believe he has that scrambling ability that Joe Flacco does not have, and he has just as good an arm, if not better, than Flacco. And I think it's going to come down to that. I think it's going to be the quarterback, and like I said, it's going to be Kaepernick. I think the 49ers do have the edge, even though Flacco has the experience. He still, I feel like, has to prove it. And I know Kaepernick does too, but I believe that in his first showing in this NFL, Kaepernick's going to do just that. And I think the edge goes to Kaepernick and the 49ers.
Yeah, I think Kaepernick definitely has a hot hand. He's definitely the more the momentum's really taking him into the Super Bowl, and he's proved a lot of critics wrong right now.
Yeah.
I think Joe Flacco might have this slight edge right now, just because I do think he has the best gun in the NFL. I think he can air it out
He's got a hell of
just
an
about
arm.
60, 70 yards downfield easily. So that's going to help with Torrey Smith. But right now, I mean, definitely in a couple of years, Kaepernick could overthrow Joe Flacco. But right now, Joe Flacco is a solid
Yeah.
quarterback, very underrated,
I think
and he
it's a
really
toss-up.
showed up to the Patriots. It's
I feel like this
toss-up.
game's a toss-up in general.
But you're going Kaepernick there.
I believe in
I'll go
Kaepernick.
Flacco.
I mean, it's going to be interesting.
Now let's move down. This one's gonna be another close one here. Running back. I'm gonna give the slight edge to Ray Rice just
Yeah.
because of his ability to catch the ball. I think he's used a lot of packages here. Frank Gore is basically at this stage in his career, basically an in-between tackle runner.
Yeah,
He's just
he can
gonna
bowl
he's just
through
gonna
it.
go right through the guards.
Yeah.
Ray Rice can still do it all. He's very young. He can go outside, inside. He can carry the ball.
Huge leader on that
Rarely
team.
fumbles, and he can catch the ball.
I got to agree with you on that one. Obviously, the edge to Ray Rice, the veteran experience, and the fact that I believe that he's just a better running back than Frank Gore in general. But if Frank Gore can get out and get those yards and get the play action going, I believe the 49ers can be unstoppable in this game.
I hear you. All right, now we're going to move to just wide receiver. Peps, who do you think has the edge here in wide receiver?
I believe, honestly, I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that package of Anquan Bolden with his experience of being in prior Super Bowls with quarterbacks of Kurt Warner, and I mean, I just believe that they have the talent in that receiving core to do it. They're solid throughout. They got Torrey Smith, who's the deep threat. They got Bolden, like you said. He's the big number 2 guy.
Yep.
He's just fast, and he's just got the experience in general. He's a great wide receiver. But, I mean, the 49ers with Crabtree, I mean, I believe it's going to be
Moss.
tough. I think Moss too, but it hasn't really shown up much. But I got to give the edge to the Ravens because they're a proven solid core. And Torrey Smith with the emergence of him and then Bolden, I mean, it's pretty solid receiving core with those two, especially at the top. You got those guys there, and then everything else just opens up for everyone else. So, I mean, I give it to the Ravens.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree here. I think this is a real good duo. You got the deep threat with Torrey Smith.
Yeah.
You got the real physical receiver, the experienced receiver on the other side who kind of plays like a really fast tight end. You know, he's just bigger than you. He can just absolutely take out any cornerback in his way, and that was the thing. You know, Aqib Talib, he can match him size-wise, and as soon as he was gone, he can just overpower any other small cornerback. So I think this is going to be huge for this one. The 49ers, they don't have that big cornerback, so if you throw Carlos Rogers on him, I think Anquan Bolden may be able to show up. Now we're going to move on to tight end here. I think this is an easy one. Right now,
Yeah,
Vernon Davis is
definitely.
better than Dennis Pitta.
But I got to give Dennis Pitta credit.
Sure.
He's stepped up big time. I mean, he's just been so clutch for them. When they needed catches, he's been there, and he's been the touchdown guy for Flacco when he needs a guy open. And I mean, it's definitely Vernon Davis. He's definitely shown that he's mature enough and ready to take down the Super Bowl title.
Yeah, Vernon Davis had a huge game last game, and Dennis Pitta for the Ravens, like Pep said, I mean, he's basically the Joe Flacco's third option.
Yeah.
After Smith and Bolden, he's right there. Pitta's having a great season right now, really exploding onto the scene here, but I have to go with the experience of Vernon Davis as well. So I'm going to give a check mark. Quarterback for Ravens, running back Ravens, wide receiver Ravens, and then tight end finally goes to 49ers. Pep disagrees on the quarterback, but same thing basically.
Yeah.
O-line, I think it's basically a toss-up right there. We're going to move past
such a
O-line.
toss-up.
Joe Staley has been real good for the 49ers. You're looking Mike
Baltimore's been a
Iupati.
solid one, too.
Yeah,
Very
Mike
solid.
Iupati. And then you go to the Ravens, Michael Orr. You got some solid names on both sides. That's why these quarterbacks are thriving.
The
Now
D-line.
let's move on to the D-line. It's basically Haloti Ngata for the Ravens versus that real dominant Ravens D-line, who I am going to give the edge to because of Justin Smith and Ray McDonald.
Yeah,
I think
49ers.
this game is built in the trenches, and the reason why Alvin Smith and Patrick Willis are able to get to quarterbacks and running backs is because of the play of Justin Smith and Ray McDonald. I think they can hold down that O-line pretty well. I'm giving the edge to the 49ers.
I gotta agree with you. They're just so solid throughout. Even with the little bit of the weakness in there in the secondary, they're still a very solid defensive team throughout. And that's what the Harbaughs are very good at. Getting solid, sound defenses.
Now let's move on to linebacker here. You got T. Sizzle, Ray Lewis, and Darnold Ellerbe for the Ravens going against the absolute dominant, who I think has the clear edge here with Navarro Bowman and Patrick Willis, the two best middle linebackers in the game right now. Talking about pass rushing with Alden Smith as well, and as well as Ahmad Brooks, who Jim Harbaugh thinks belongs right in that other trio there as a nice fourth player on
it's
that
the younger
line.
linebackers versus like the older linebackers,
Yep.
but it comes down. It's just going to come down to who wants it more. I mean, exactly like you said, it's going to be who wants it more, especially with those linebackers. All three solid for Baltimore. Ellerby has been unbelievable in these playoffs in coverage and coming at the quarterbacks, and also on the other side with the 49ers. Unbelievably solid linebackers, and the youth too.
And Paul Kruger as well for the Ravens.
Kruger too, yeah. Both teams just so solid.
Very good. I will give the slight edge on defensive line and linebacker to the 49ers.
I'll agree with
now
that.
moving to defensive back, this is where it gets a little bit difficult. You got Ed Reed, who is aging right now in the backfield, as well as the murderer, criminal, who I'd like to call Bernard Pollard, who actually took out Stephen Ridley again. So that in a row, four games in a row where Bernard Pollard has knocked out a Patriots elite star on their team. Talk about Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski, Welker, and Stephen Ridley. So it's basically Bernard Pollard, Kerry Williams, as well as Ed Reed versus the real good duo of Deshaun Goldson and Dante Whitner, as well as Carlos Rogers and Terrell Brown. I will give the slight edge to the 49ers here.
I'll agree with that. I'll give the slight edge to 49ers, but Ed Reed, I feel he's going to have a huge impact on this.
True. He's going to have the experience there, get everybody there. And now we're going to move on to the big one, special teams with Ted Ginn and Jacoby Jones.
It's so even. Honestly, I'm going to give the edge to the Ravens. I believe Jacoby Jones has just been so solid in that special teams. I believe Ted Ginn is great too, but it's just the consistency of Jacoby Jones in all of these playoff games that have gotten Joe Flacco and the Ravens in the field positions where they want to be, getting at least to the 30-yard line and beyond, over 25-yard line beyond, like 8 yards back in the end zone. It's been huge, especially against teams like the Patriots, who are weak in the special teams and the special teams coverage. I think it's going to be the edge to the Ravens, but it's pretty tight there. I just believe the edge is with Jacoby Jones right now.
And this is huge because last year, special teams is basically what kept both of these teams from reaching the Super Bowl. You've seen Billy Cundiff miss the field goal, and you also seen Ted Ginn drop the ball.
Kyle
Williams now, and now that they have Ted Williams back and David Akers is, he's not having the same great season he's had last year. I'll give the slight edge to the 49ers because of the play of Ted Ginn and the experience of David Akers. But the Ravens have a real good special teams unit as well.
Ravens. I'm
Justin Tucker,
unbelievably
rookie guy,
impressed with Tucker.
a very good guy. He's got the power leg as well as accuracy. Now we're moving on to the big one here, Jim Harbaugh versus John Harbaugh. I will give the edge to Jim Harbaugh because of the use of players in his personnel unit. I don't think he has the same kind of offense the Ravens do, and I also think with the maturity level of Colin Kaepernick, that's got to go on to something of Jim Harbaugh, getting him ready, getting him in the right mindset, and also having that big decision to knock out Alex Smith, who got your team to the NFC Championship a year ago, and then inserting Colin Kaepernick, keeping Frank Gore healthy, keeping him ready to go. I think he's done a lot with a little and receiver there with just Crabtree. I'll give it to Jim Harbaugh.
I got to give John Harbaugh huge credit also. They got rid of the coordinator more than halfway through the season. Cam Cameron out, insert Jim Caldwell, who used to coach the Colts, and he's doing a pretty solid job up there in the booth for them as offense coordinator. But it's got to go to Jim Harbaugh because I love a coach who's willing to take that extra step to do whatever it takes to win, and I believe he's got that edge over his brother. I mean, both brothers are unbelievable coaches. Both have their teams set in stone, sound on offense, defense, special teams throughout. I couldn't think of more of an even matchup for a Super Bowl if I really wanted to, because they're just so even. But it's like I said, I think it's going to be the youth of the 49ers and just the better talent, I believe, on that side. But it's going to go to Jim Harbaugh and the better coach, I believe, of the two of them. And he's willing to go the extra mile and do whatever it takes to win, and I think that's what you need, especially in a Super Bowl setting. So,
they are just crazy even. And John Harbaugh actually admitted a week ago that he is not the same coach as Jim Harbaugh because of what Jim Harbaugh has done this season. I think with that defense, with that youth of the defense, that was huge. So I'm going to give the slight edge to the 49ers overall here.
Yeah, me too. I believe they're going to win this game. I can't really see why I pick against them.
Okay. And now, that wraps it up for the NFL season as well, but now we're going to move on to the baseball season. We got one thing here. Justin Upton is moved to the Braves to play with his brother. Thoughts on this?
That's pretty solid. I mean, they have a pretty good outfield over there now. I mean, they got the Uptons, and Hayward too. I think this is a pretty solid move for the Braves. I think after the collapse of a few seasons ago, they're going to do whatever it takes to make sure they have that solid outfield, solid hitting department over there. I just believe that they're a pretty solid team, and I think they're looking to get back in the running of playoffs. And I think they keep making moves like this and they'll get there. It's a pretty solid move for the Braves.
This is a huge move for the Braves, in my
Yeah.
opinion. They trade one of their best prospects in Randall Delgado, a starting pitcher, to the Arizona Diamondbacks, which is a pretty good move for the Diamondbacks to get a little bit younger here. But I think this is huge, especially with the announcement of Chipper Jones retiring this year.
Yeah.
Move Chipper Jones out of here. Now you have the face of the franchise, Jason Hayward. Get some help. Get some more brothers there. Justin Upton and BJ Upton, the two best brothers in the game today right now, playing in the outfield in the
All
same outfield.
three of them are such good outfielders.
Very fast, very
solid.
good defense. This is going to be a real good outfield for the Braves right now. And also you got Dan Uggla there. Martin Prado also goes to Arizona, so you lose Martin Prado's bat, but it's not going to affect them too much. Freddie Freeman's still a solid bat there, and of course Brian McCann.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it's a real good lineup. Look at that rotation now. You still got Tim Hudson over there, Chris Medlin, who had a good season last year, as well as that bullpen with Eric O'Flaherty, Johnny Venters, as well as Craig Kimbrell.
If they can
I
add
love this
another
movie.
starting pitcher, then they could be a serious World Series threat. I
Yep.
think they need to add one more starting pitcher. They'll be pretty solid.
Definitely playoff caliber right now.
Yeah.
Now that's all we got for the pitch. Tune in next week, and we're going to be talking about some Super Bowl coverage as well as the new NHL season coming back.
NBA maybe.
Boston up to a good start. Yeah, we haven't talked about NBA for a while, so we might throw that in there.
All right.
So see you next week.
Peace.